Good afternoon, everyone. Welcome. So today's webinar, we're going to be talking you through some exciting new features and improvements we recently made to ACMY, which was all based on feedback that we'd received from you guys, the editors. So we'll just wait until we've got everyone joining in. As you come in, feel free to head over to the chat box. Let us know who you are, where you've come from today. Hopefully you're keeping cool in this 30-degree day. I'm in London at the moment, and 30 degrees feels a lot hotter. Especially I'm from Australia, so you'd think I'd be used to the heat, but not in London, that's for sure. Hello, everyone. Hi, Michelle. Hi, Sarah. Nicola. Trisha. I think we've got quite a few people joining us today, which is great. So seems like a lot of you are excited to learn about these new features and improvements that we've popped into ACMY. Got people from the Isle of Wight, Durham, Newcastle, Spain. Lovely. Welcome, Jen. Got Becky from Stanford. Everyone is piling in. Hello, everyone. Not quite 30 degrees in Cheshire, but South Cheshire. And we've got Warwickshire. I'm probably pronouncing some of these incorrectly, so I do apologise. Okay, got Linda from Manchester, West Midlands, Sunderland. Fabulous. Okay, so we'll just let people come in. If you weren't here right at the start, I'll just quickly introduce myself. My name is Alessi. I am the digital officer here in the Church of England digital team. And my main role is to help with the running and development of ACMY. And I respond to the inquiries that come in through the Editor Help Centre. So if you've ever sent anything through there, you've probably received a response from myself. Great. So it's slowing down in the chat, so maybe we have everyone. So thank you so much for joining us today. Once again, it's very nice to virtually meet you all. What we're going to talk about today, like I said, is some of the exciting new features and improvements that we recently made to ACMY. You might have seen some of them, so it happened about 2 weeks ago. You might have had a bit of a play around with them on your church and benefice site, but we'll go through them all today just to make sure you've got the complete understanding of how they all work and how you can make them beneficial for your church and benefice site. So just a quick admin slide before we get going. You will receive a follow-up email from Zoom tomorrow, and it will have a recording of today's session. It'll also have some PowerPoint slides, which will list all the new features. There'll also be some links to some Editor Help Centre articles, which go through step-by-step on these new features. And if you need to kind of refer back to them, that information will be in the email tomorrow. So don't worry if you need to dash off or you need a little bit of a break. You can always catch up tomorrow by rewatching the recording. And do feel free to share these with your colleagues. If there was someone that couldn't join today that helps you edit your church or benefice site, feel free to share all this information with them if they need it. We do have some captions enabled for this webinar. So if you do need captions or you prefer them, just click on the Show Captions button in your Zoom menu. These are automated, so there might be a slight delay, but hopefully you'll find them useful if you need them. And finally, if you do have any questions, it's best if you can use the Q&A box, which is next to that chat box in your Zoom menu. It's easier to find the questions and I'll answer most of them live. I do have my colleague Joe here. He might do some written answers for you as well, depending on how we go. But that's it. Val, can you let me know how long this webinar is planned to be? So we do have a full hour for this webinar, but depending on how many questions we get, it'll probably take, I would say, up to about 45 minutes. But like I said, if you can't hang around for the whole thing, you'll still get a recording of it tomorrow. Jen, yes, so this is it's a webinar. So you guys aren't on screen. It's separate to a meeting where you can usually see each other. So like I said, if you have any questions, please pop them in the Q&A box. If you're thinking it, someone else is probably thinking it. And like I said, I'm more than happy to answer as we go along. So I'm just going to jump out of my PowerPoint because we're going to do most of this as a live demonstration. So I'm going to use our demo church site. I try to be inclusive. How do you? Okay, so we'll get started. So like I said, a couple of weeks ago, we introduced some exciting new features and made some improvements to ACNY. So I'm going to go through an overview of what's been improved and what new features you might notice on your church and benefice sites. So the first one, starting off with the homepage, there is now an option to add a TikTok account to your church's social media accounts. So you will notice on your church homepage, you have your social media accounts down the bottom under the side navigation menu down here. And now there is the option. So if your church or benefice has TikTok, you can add this if you like. The way to do that is like you do every time you edit your church or benefice site, click on Edit Content. And if you scroll right down to the bottom of your side navigation menu, you will see social. So simply just either copy and paste or type in your church's TikTok account into the text box and click save. Okay, and you can do that with all the other social media accounts as well that were previously there. Then if we have a look in this in our live view, like I said, it was already added, so you can see the little TikTok icon here. And if a member of the public clicks on it, that will take them straight to their to your church's or benefice's TikTok account. So that's the first change we made. The next one is quite a big change. It's introducing a Who's Who's page. So we did get this as a regular request by a lot of editors. They wanted a place where they could upload some images of people, add a few more names and contact details and things like that. So this is something we've now created where you can, like I said, add a name, image, contact details for each person. And it just provides a space to tell visitors more about the key people at your church or within your benefice. And so when new visitors come and explore your site, they may be looking for someone in particular or want to contact a certain person, they can go to this page and find that information. Now, you'll notice on our public view on this page, there's no Who's Who's page at the moment. So this page will only appear once you create it. So if you don't want a Who's Who's page, you don't have to do anything with it. It won't appear and be a blank page on your church site. However, if you do want to create it, we're going to go back into our edit site. And you'll see here that we've got homepage names and logos. Under that page, we've got the Who's Who's page. So clicking on this, we'll start to create our Who's Who's page. So you must first create this page before you can add people to it. And it says that just in this sentence here as well. Okay. So the first thing to do is it'll automatically give you the title of Who's Who, but feel free to change it if you would like it to be called something else. That's totally fine, obviously. And then we've got a text box underneath called description. So this is optional. You can see that whenever you see the asterisk next to a word, it's mandatory. If there's no asterisk, it's not mandatory. So you don't have to write anything in here, but if there's something that you would like to, feel free to do that. So I'm just going to add in a quick sentence. You can also format this text. So like some other text boxes on other pages of your site, if you highlight the word, you've got the formatting options. Okay. So we're happy with the title, we're happy with the description, and we're just going to click save. Okay. So now you can see that we've got under people, we've got the option to add a person. I'm also going to show you what this page now looks like in public view. So we're going to click view live. And you can see now under the About Us section, you can see there is now a Who's Who's page that appears. So before we created this page, that wasn't there, okay? Going back to our edit view, we are going to add a person. So simply click on Add a Person and you'll this form will appear. So once again, similar to a lot of pages on a church near you, it's just simply filling out a form, clicking save, and we'll have the information. So the first thing you can do is upload an image if you like. So similar to the other sections, if you click on upload, you'll be able to choose an image from your device. And the dimensions for this particular image that fits well is a square image. So we're going to add our image in. And then scrolling down, like I said before, if you see an asterisk, it's a mandatory field. If there's no asterisk, you don't, it's an optional field. So here you can just pop in a name if that's all you want, but you can also got the option to put in title, role, email, phone. Okay, so we're just going to add a bit of information in here. So Rev, Andy Hart, and his role is a vicar. And then again, email and phone if you wish. I'm going to leave them blank just for now. Okay. The last bit is how it's displayed. So you can choose the order in which the people appear on your Who's Who's page. So obviously from one and continuing. So one will appear first, and then 2, 3, 4, so on and so forth. If you leave everything as one, or you don't change the ordering, they'll appear in alphabetical order by last name. Okay. And then the final, there's a little ticks box here where you can hide the person. So say, for example, someone's gone on break, or you just want to take them off the page for a little bit, you can just tick the box and they'll be removed from the Who's Who's page. Okay. Once you're happy with this page, just simply click save. And once my internet's caught up, there we go. We can see now we've got our person. Okay. To add another person, we just simply click add another person and repeat what we just did. If you need to edit that person, you can click on the edit button. It'll open up this form again, make any changes, and click save. And then to delete, again, just simply click delete. And then if you do want to remove them, just say, yes, I'm sure. Okay, I'm going to leave Andy there. And then can you order by role? So you can't order by role, but what you would do, like I said, in the displaying options, you would just choose the order that you want them to appear. So for example, if you want the vicar to appear first, that would be 1. And then whoever you want to appear second, you put them as number 2, number 3, so on and so forth. So you choose it. It's completely up to you how they appear on the Who's Who's page. Okay. Great. So going back to that, we're just going to have a look at what that looks like live. So again, if we click view live, we can see here that we've got the title, we've got our little sentence, and then we've got our first person. And then if they had contact, if I'd added the email and phone number, that would also appear down here as well. So I'll just show you a quick example of one that we've done as an example. So it could look something like this. So you've got the images of all the people, you've got the names, their roles, and how they can be contacted. Okay, so that's what your Who's Who's page could look like. The final thing to say about this is that, say if you've created your Who's page, so it's appearing here under the About Us section. Say if you've created and then you've decided that you don't really want the Who's Who's page anymore, you can simply hide the page by clicking Hide Page, click Save, and then if we view live again, you'll notice that under About Us, it's gone. So if we just refresh that page, the Who's Who's isn't there anymore. Okay, so if you've created it and then decided you didn't want it anymore, you can simply just hide it. Okay, I've got a couple of questions coming in, so I'm just going to have a quick read. So content. So we've got Sheena said, where is the best place to add work days for contact information? For example, I'm part-time, work on Sunday, Monday, and Wednesday. Need to be clear when people ring. It's a good question. you could add, so say for example, if you only wanted phone or email, you could add like some written information here as well. You could also put the number in, and then in brackets, you could say, what were the days? Part-time, Sunday, Monday, Wednesday. Okay. You could also add it as a description at the top. So there's a couple of options, but that is a good point in terms of like we don't have a specific text box for additional information. But even though these have headings and they say what you should put in there, you could also adjust it slightly to add additional information, like you said, for that. We've got another question. Sorry. How do we add people on a benefice where some people are the same and some change? How do we add people? So this Who's Who's page is only available on church sites at the moment. So you'd most likely, if I hope I'm answering this question properly, Alison, but if if the people change church to church, what you would do is then yeah. So you would have to create a Who's Who's page for each church anyway, because this isn't a benefice functionality at the moment. So you can only add a Who's Who's page on your church site. So in that case, you'd be adding, I guess, the vicar multiple times to the different church sites, but then per church, you would be adding those individuals that work at each church. Okay. I hope I've answered that for you. We've got Lena, can you unhide the page once hidden without having to input? Yeah, absolutely. So you can, like I said, you can hide the page, click save, and it won't appear. But then you can simply just untick it again, click save, view live, and our Who's Who's page will just appear with all the same information that you already had there. So you can hide, unhide, just depending when you want it. But yeah, that's totally fine. What is the format required to enter order of people? E.g., do you separate person number with a comma or similar? So, because you're creating a new person, so here, because you're creating a new person or new entry for each person, say, for example, the vicar was number 1, the next person is going to be number 2, okay? And then you can, once you've filled in all this information, they'll appear next to the vicar, okay? If 2 people have the same number, like I said, they'll be in order of their last name, alphabetical. So if we had a look at where's that? Sorry, I can't see my whole screen. Just trying to find. So for example, Andy here had been ordered number 1, Amy would have been ordered number 2, Hannah number 3, Dave number 4, and so on and so forth. So you just give each person a number. Okay. John, have you thought about having a text box for brief CV of individuals? So I think that kind of came back to what about role? Sheena's comment about adding like hours and days that you're working. So we don't, it is a good point about adding like a little comments box, because then, like you said, you can add a little bit of information about who they are, what they do, etc. But like I said, you could potentially add a bit more information into like the role text box if you'd like. But yeah, no, feedback is great. So we'll add that as a suggestion for, like I said, future improvements to the site again. Because yeah, like I said, very valid point. Okay. Gareth. So Gareth has said, so could you create alphabetically ordered groups like PCC members, clergy, staff team by giving each group the same ordering number? So you're not grouping them per se, you're just ordering them of how they appear on the page. So for example, if you wanted you could give PCC all the same number and they would appear in similar areas of the page or like similar groups of the page, but then within that number they would then be ordered alphabetically by last name. So for example, if you gave all the clergy number 1, they would just be and then they'd be ordered alphabetically by last name. Then PCC number 2, they'd be grouped together and then ordered alphabetically by last name. So if you give people the same number, it'll be alphabetically by last name. It would be how it would be grouped. Hope that answered your question. Shona, I wanted a place for pioneers who don't work in church backgrounds to connect. If you don't mind giving me a bit more information, I think Joe's typing an answer to you, so he might be able to answer that one for you. And then we've got Anonymous. I'm a pioneer in the Church of England. I usually work with people from many backgrounds of the world. It's also in safeguarding. St. Paul says that your body is a temple. Okay, that I'm not quite sure what that question is, but if you want to provide me with some more information, I'd be more than happy to help you out. Okay, so just making sure. Wendy, can you move the Who's page lower down in the order as the same way as you can the other pages? No, so it'll appear under your About Us page, which I think is where we thought made the most sense. So you've got the About Us page here, where you can obviously add information about your church, and then under that you've got your Who's page. So that's where it is at the moment. Yeah, that can't be changed similar to these other pages. Okay. All right. So I'm going to move on, just so we don't run out of time because we're getting a lot of questions. So the next section that we made a few changes to is our services and events page. So if we click on services and events, you'll notice that there's now a text box at the top of the page where you can just add additional information. So a lot of people didn't want to create a whole service or event to just share some information to their church community. So you can now add that information up here and simply click save, and that will appear at the top of your services and events page. Secondly, this one, some of you might notice, some of you might not. It depends if you reuse your services and events. So in the drop-down menu, the unpublished events and past events, they've now been reordered so that the most recent services and events are now at the top of the page. Editors sometimes like to reuse old services and events, and before they were ordered so that the most recent were all the way at the bottom. So people found that really frustrating because they had to go all the way to the bottom of the page, find the most recent service and event, and then edit and reuse them. So now they're simply just at the top. So hopefully that just saves a bit of time for people trying to find services and events to reuse them. The next change we made, which is probably the most regular requested suggestion I think we received, was to order tags alphabetically. That has now happened. So if you click on add a tag, you'll notice that it is all alphabetical now. You can obviously still search for them in the text box at the top if you want to shorten the list, but now you'll notice that all tags alphabetical, and hopefully that just helps you when you're adding tags to your services and events. Another change we made to services and events is you can now add multiple breaks when creating a service or event. This was another feature that was also highly requested. In the past, you could only add a break period, so it had a start and an end date, whereas now you can choose multiple dates or at different times throughout the year. So I'll just show you what that looks like. So under regular event, if you choose a frequency, so it could be anything, we're going to go weekly. Fill in the start and end time and how often it's going to occur. So say ours is going to be from, I'll go 11 because it's there. We're going to go every week on a Sunday. And then you'll notice that this is a section that looks slightly different. So It's upcoming break days, and what you can do is select the dates that your regular service or event isn't occurring. So like I said before, it was a period of time, whereas now you can actually select individual dates, which was requested a lot, especially around key times of the year. So say around like Advent and Christmas, there was usually like some regular services and events that weren't occurring because you obviously had your special services and events. So you can now plan this out pretty much for the whole year now. So you don't need to keep going back in and updating that break period. So for example, because this service is occurring on a Sunday, say it's not occurring on the 27th, so simply click on that date. You can use the scroll, the next, it'll move you through the months. It's also not going to occur on the 17th. Okay, and you can do that. I think it's up to 60 dates. So really you could plan the whole year out and not even have to go back in and edit your services and events. If you need to remove a date, just simply click on the bin icon and that will be removed. Okay. Yeah. So you only need to add the dates that your regular event would normally be occurring. You don't need to add every date. It's just the ones that, so for example, for this one on a Sunday, just simply click on the Sundays that this regular service or event isn't occurring. And that's pretty much it. That's how you add multiple breaks now. Once you've done that, just click save for the service and event. And then the final change that we made to the service and event section is actually on the benefit site. So just need to, sorry, my screen hides my top tabs. So I'm just going to make it smaller. And then, so the benefit sites now have a calendar tab on their services and events. So when we first introduced the benefits functionality, it was just the event list, which is this tab here. And we got a lot of requests for a calendar tab. So this is now here. And this will show services and events that have been created at benefits level. Okay. You can filter this page as well. So if you click on the eye of the church, that will actually remove these churches. So if you just wanted to see a Holy Trinity, you can remove the other ones and see what services and events are happening at Holy Trinity Church. Okay. So they're the main changes that are being made to the services and events section. So is the break days available on the benefice or does it have to be done for individual churches? No. So we're on a benefice site at the moment. So let me just go and edit one of the benefice services and events. So the break day functionality is exactly the same now for the benefice services and events as well. So we changed it on both sites. So like I said, you can add multiple breaks for anything, any service and event at church or at benefice level. Okay. No worries, Sue. Okay, fabulous. Moving on. We are now moving on to the news and notices page. So just got Peter. Peter, is it possible to create an event that occurs on random dates rather than a regular pattern? Not at the moment, no. So the regular services and events, you either need to choose, oh, actually, sorry, no, I take that back. Yes, there's custom. So if we go to add new and we scroll down, sorry. So they do have to be at the same time, but if you go to frequency and you choose the custom option, it's a similar looking calendar where, like I said, it doesn't have to be at the same time. So say if they're all at 10 o'clock again, but you can choose certain dates that this service or event occurs, simply just like this. Similar to the multiple breaks, if you need to delete it, just click the bin icon. Okay. But that is the way to do it if you've got an event that, like I said, has to occur at the same time, but does occur on different dates throughout the year. The custom frequency is your option. Okie dokie. Okay, moving back to news and notices. So again, firstly, there's now a text box at the top of your news and notices page where you can add additional information. So as like before, type in whatever you would like to add in there and click save, and that will appear at the top of your news and notices page. Secondly, tags for news stories. So you would have in the past, when creating or editing a news story, you would have noticed that there was a tag section for the news stories. These have now been removed. So tags on ACNY, they help visitors find a local church which can meet their needs. However, we found that the news story tags weren't necessary for this purpose. So you can still find tags under your facility section, and that will help tell visitors to ACNY more about the features and facilities of your church building or community. And also when you add a service or event, you can add the tags to tell ACNY more about the service and event. And so that it appears when visitors are searching for certain locations and services. But for the news stories, this wasn't needed. So we have removed tags from this section. And then, sorry, I could see Caroline has put a question in the chat. If you fill in services on church page, can they be automatically linked to shown benefits page? No. So similar to, I don't know if you, when we introduced the benefits functionality, which was about 2 years ago now, I think, what we were telling people is that if you've decided to move to use the benefits functionality, you do have to create your services and events at benefits level for them to feed down onto your church site. So there was a little bit of admin, but once you're using the benefits functionality, we hoped that using those new features was going to make your life a lot easier. But initially, you do have to recreate services and events at benefits level for them to now appear on the benefits calendar and also feed down onto your church sites. So it's a bit like a filter. Everything at the top will filter down onto the church and not the other way around, unfortunately. So a little bit of pain, but hopefully for long-term gain and being able to easily edit and update your benefits site. Okay. Like I said, chuck any questions in the Q&A box just to make sure we don't miss them as well. The final change that we made for the news and notices page is that there's now an option to add a custom news URL, and this will either replace the news stories tab or the whole news and notices page on your church site. So for example, if you host your news information on another website, you can enter a URL that will take visitors to this website when they either click on the, let me just go here, either click on the news story tab or the news and notices page on your church site. This might sound a little bit complicated right now, but I'm going to do it step by step, and I promise you it will make complete sense. So first of all, we go to homepage names and logos. We've also got a step-by-step editor help center article for you as well, which will be very easy to follow as well. So if we scroll down on the homepage section, you'll see custom news URL. So like I said here, you can either choose to add a custom news URL, which will replace I'll show you in live version. It'll replace this news stories tab, or you can choose to, if both your news and notices are hosted on another website, or you don't need the notice sheet functionality, you can add a URL in this section, and that will replace this whole page, okay? You can only fill in one of them, otherwise you'll notice an error occur when you try and save your homepage. Okay, so we're going to start off with this one. We're going to start off with the custom news URL. So I'm just going to add in just an example link. So if you add in your link here, so this is a link to your news that you might host on another website. So we have had feedback from editors that they add news to another website and they didn't want to duplicate it and add like news stories to their ACNY page. So this is hopefully will help them just link people to visitors to your page, to the news stories that you have somewhere else. So if you add in the custom news URL, and we're going to save this. Always click save or else the changes won't occur. And then we're going to go view live. And then if we click on news and notices, you'll notice that it takes you straight to the notice sheet page now, okay? Before it used to take you to the news stories, but we've replaced this with our link. So if I click on news stories now, it's going to open up my external link. And this is where you would have your church or benefice host your news information. Okay. So one more time, if you add in your link to your news, your church benefice news, and you click on news and notices, the notice sheets tab will still appear, but your news stories tab will open up that external URL that you've added in. So that's the first thing you can do. If you want to keep the notice sheets tab, you can do it like that. If you don't really find the notice sheets tab useful, or again, you host that somewhere else, like alongside your news, instead, what you could do is, I'm going to close. We're going to move this link and we're going to put it in this one instead and click save. Oh, sorry. So if you saw that, there was an error up there. So I think I've put it in both. Yeah, I have. So if I remove that one, keep that one, click save. And so what we're expecting this to happen is when I click on news and notices, it's going to take me straight to that external URL. So if I click on that, oh, sorry, maybe it hasn't saved properly. Give me one sec. And there we go. Let me just close these. Click save one more time. It might have been that I needed to refresh the page. So instead of that, we'll click view live and click on news and notices. And there we go. So it's opened up my external website. And this is where, like I said, you'll either be hosting your news and notice items or just your news, and you don't feel like the notice items are required anymore. Jen said, when you say URL, do you mean our newsletter or something like that? Yeah, so URL, sorry, is it's this link up here. So it's a link to where you might host your news items on an external website. So say, for example, you use another website alongside ACNY, and rather than replicating the news information on both websites, you can just simply add this link, and that will take people to your news stories and notice items on the other website rather than replicating it across two sites. I hope that answers your question, Jen. Okay, perfect. So like I said, you've got the two options. You can either click on the news and notices and that will take you straight to another website, or if you have it on the other one, if you have it on the first option, if you click on the services and events, then click on the news tab, it will take you to the external website. Okay. I hope that was clear. If not, please let me know. Like I said, our Editor Help Center has step-by-step examples as well, which will hopefully help you alongside that. Okay, moving on, we are going to go to our Get in Touch page. So on our Get in Touch page, we've made two changes on here. So the first is that you can, if your church has a newsletter and you would like to add a sign up button to this newsletter, you can now add a link to your Get in Touch page, which will also appear on your home page. So simply scroll down, you'll see this new text box here. It says your newsletter sign up page URL. And if you add a link in there, so we'll just add the same link we've been doing and then click save. And then we're going to go view live. You'll notice that now under this right-hand section, you had your website and then you had sign up. We've now got sign up to our newsletter. So you can add that link in. It'll also show on your homepage under the Get in Touch section as well. So you've got your website and sign up to our newsletter. Okay. So that's the first change that we've got on the Get in Touch page. We've just got 2 questions. Sue, can you hide the news and notices tab at all? You can't, I'm sorry. So like I said, you can add if you've got an external website and you want to redirect people to that information, you can add in those links that I just showed you. Otherwise, your services and events, your news and notices page will always be there for now. But this is something that we have heard from editors as well about hiding some pages. So we definitely, we'll take that feedback on board as well. Okay. Okay. Peter, I'll come back to your question in one moment. I'm just going to keep going with the Get in Touch page. So the second change that we made to the Get in Touch page is that you can now set multiple email addresses to receive messages from the public, which is sent through that Get in Touch contact form. And this is all based on like the subject of the email. Okay, so it will enable people to email different clergy or members of staff at your church, depending on the nature of their inquiry. The email addresses that you add still won't be visible to the public. And the messages, they'll still appear in your ACNY inbox, but they'll also be sent to those email addresses that you choose. Okay. If we scroll down, you'll notice that it has changed slightly. So we've got the email settings, we've got primary email address, and we've got this new tick box that says use custom subject lines. Okay. So at the moment, whenever a message is sent through the Get in Touch form, it's sent to this primary email address that you add. This will continue to happen. So if you choose to have a primary email address, all messages will be sent to this email address, as well as if you choose to set up other ones, they'll go to both. So if you choose to set up some new custom subject lines, you can leave this blank now because you'll be setting up, you'll be deciding where the emails go in the future. Okay, so this is a couple of steps. And like I said, we've got an Editor Help Center article, which will hopefully you can refer back to if you ever need. But first of all, what we're going to do is, because we want messages to be sent to multiple email addresses, or we want to specify which email addresses they go to. So first of all, we're going to click on Use Custom Subject Lines and click Save. And what we'll notice is if we go to View Live, what has happened is if you click on Please Select a Subject, all our subject lines have been removed, because what we're going to do is we're going to set up our own and we're going to choose the email addresses that these messages will go to. Okay. So if we go back to our editor view, if you scroll down, you'll also notice that 2 new pages have occurred. So we're going to make some edits to these pages, which will then set up the subject lines. Okay. So first of all, we need to do email addresses. You have to do them in order. So you have to do email addresses first and then the other section. Okay. It might sound a little bit confusing at first, but bear with me and I'm sure you'll pick it up. So what we're going to do first is we're going to choose the email addresses that we want the subject lines to be sent to. Okay. And we're going to give them a nickname. So I'm going to do this step by step. So you can add more than one. So I'm going to add an email address in here. If you add more than one, just separate them with a comma. Okay. So we're going to add one email address and then we're going to add the other one. And we're going to call these our main contacts. So these are the people that we want to be emailed for most things. Okay, so you can choose whatever nickname you like. You might just call it the church wardens, or you could call it PCC, anything you like. It's just how you would like these emails to be sent. If you want to add a new line, click Save, and you'll see that a new line appears. So we're going to do it one more time. We're going to do it a couple more times. We're going to put in another email address. We're just going to put in one this time, and we're going to call, this one's going to be Vicar. Okay. Once again, if you want to add another line, click Save and add another email address. And this one's going to be called Venue Hire. Okay. And then click Save. If you want to remove someone, simply click the bin icon and you'll see it's highlighted red, and then click Save and you'll see that it's removed. Okay, but we want to keep this, so we're going to pop it back in. Click Save. Okay, so these are all the email addresses that I want messages to be contacted when someone uses the Get in Touch form. You can keep adding them if you like. Like I said, if you want to add more than one email address to a text box, just add the comma, add the other email address. So we've added our email addresses. The next section we need to go to is the subject lines. So a subject line, if we go back to our public view, a subject line is what people choose from this list. So before we ticked the custom subject line tick box, there used to be options for weddings, bands, session times, etc. So we can create these now. So we are going to create a subject line for service times, for example. Okay. And the people that we want to be emailed if someone sends this type of inquiry is our main contacts. So we want those two people that we set up as a main contact to receive any messages that have the subject line service times. Okay. If we click Save, another line will appear. And then another subject line that we would like is wedding, for example. For this one though, we only want the vicar to be emailed. Okay. So the vicar is the only person that's going to receive the messages when a wedding subject line is chosen. Again, click Save. And then, for example, we're going to do venue hire. Oh, venue hire. And then for this contact, it's going to be the venue hire contact. So whoever chooses the subject line venue hire, that'll go straight to that person that we set up as the venue hire email address. If we have a look at what our Get in Touch page looks like in public view, if we click on the subjects, you'll notice that those three subject lines have now appeared. So say, for example, if I send in a message venue hire, that's going to go to that email address that we set up with the nickname. So if we have a look, go back to email addresses. So James is going to be sent that email. So these two people aren't going to be contacted at all because we haven't set it up that way. Only James is going to receive that message for venue hire. So really, you can set this up in a way that works for you. Like I said, you can give nicknames that work best for your church or benefice community. You can add more than one email address in each of these text boxes. And you can also create subject lines that work best for your church and for your community. Okay. We hope that's helped, because a lot of people did request that they found it a bit frustrating that only one person would be emailed for all messages, especially in circumstances where people might not work all the time, work full time. So hopefully this helps you be able to send messages to the people that need it. Okay. Got Sue has said, is the nickname seen by others or just us? No, just you. So like I said, you set it up in a way that makes sense for you and your church. It's just a way of being able to, so this page, for example, allows you to add as many email addresses as you like. And then this page allows you to decide which email addresses each subject line is being sent to. So no one will see this. The only information they'll see is the subject lines. Okay. And finally, there's just two more changes that we've made, and then we're done, and they'll come back to Peter's question right at the end. But the final two changes, they appear on a few pages within your church and benefice site. So the first one is that you can now upload up to 3 videos. And this is on your news stories, this is on your About Us page, and this is on your custom pages. So if we have a look at a custom page to start our example, you'll notice if you scroll down, you used to just be able to add one video link. You can now add up to 3, okay? So simply add the video links into the text boxes. You've also got the option to decide where they appear on the page. So you can either have them before or after the text. And the text is this here. So if we have a look at this one in live view, so if we just go to, oops, sorry, it was the midweek groups, wasn't it? Yeah. So at the moment, that video is appearing before the text, which is here. But if we go back and edit it to appear after the text and click save, and then refresh this page, you'll notice that we've got the text and then we've got the video. So you can choose, where the videos appear in order. This is exactly the same as our About Us page. Again, you can see you can add up to 3 video links, and you can again choose where they appear on the page. Finally, I'll just show you the news and notices one as well. So if we go into edit one, you'll see that if you scroll down, you've got, again, options to add up to 3 videos. The only difference with this one is that there's another placement. So you've either got after title, before text, or after text. So there's one more position where you can view the video. The reason for this is because there's an image on this page. So it can look a little bit busy, but I'll just show you what it looks like. So if we click on this one, there we go. So we've got weekly online services, we've got a video, we've got an image, another video, some text, and another video. So like I said, you can either choose to move the videos above the image, or you can move it below the text. But yeah, it gives you a bit of flexibility of the order of the videos and where they appear on the page. And finally, the last update to the site is you can now add different formatting. So I don't know if you saw when I highlighted the text before, but there's now a few other formatting options. In the past, it was just bold, italics, underline, or you could add a link. But if we highlight some text here, you'll notice you've still got the bold, italics, underline. This is the link. We've now also got heading options. So it just helps format your page so that readers can quickly understand and see the main points of the text. So it makes it easier to navigate through the text on your pages. So you've got heading 2, which is the biggest. You can click on it and then click again to remove it. Heading 3, which is slightly smaller, and then heading 4, which is just a bit bigger than the normal text. There's now also the option to add lists. So you've got a numbered list and you've got a bulleted list. So again, this just helps you sort, organize, and make the text a lot more readable and user-friendly for visitors to your page. So you can add a numbered list, which looks like this. You can continue your numbers like that. Or you can add a bulleted list, which looks a bit like that. If you want to remove the list, just simply click on the dot again to remove it. Okay. And that's it. They're all the new features and changes to the site. I hope you found that useful. Like I said, we will send out a PowerPoint presentation tomorrow, and there'll be links to each of these changes to Editor Help Center articles, which will hopefully, if you need any refresher or need to go back to one little point, all that information should surely be in there. I'm just going to answer Peter's question, which was our Vicar holds 2 benefices in plurality. Occasionally there are joint services for both benefices. Is it possible to copy the event from one benefice to another in the same way as I can copy from one church to another? Unfortunately not. The copy function we didn't recreate at benefice level. We only had it at church level. The reason why we had it at church level was before the benefice functionality, and it allowed editors that look after multi-church benefice to recreate services and events between one church to another. But when the new benefice functionality came out, it kind of overtook the need to copy services and events. The other thing is that the copy function only works within a benefice. It doesn't actually work between benefices as well. So unfortunately not, Peter. Feel free to add that as a suggestion though. We've got a suggestions form, which will include the link to that in the email tomorrow as well. And so that's that. And then we've got Sue. Can you let me see a typical newsletter sign up page? We're just getting to grips with managing the parish magazine distribution. So a typical newsletter sign-up page, I can't give you an example right now, but I'll include a bit more information in the follow-up email. But if you use systems like MailChimp or Brevo, there will be a sign-up link, usually kind of connected to those systems. Otherwise, if you are just doing a general like or Outlook email or anything like that, a Google form or a Microsoft form could work alongside that. But I'll include some information about that in the follow-up email to hopefully kind of guide you. But if you have any questions, please send them through to the Editor Help Centre. I'm more than happy to kind of answer some additional questions that anyone might have, especially if you start playing around with your site and kind of come across some questions once you're having a go on your own. Okay, how do we make it easier for, Wendy's asked, how do we make it easier for people to find our ACNY page as the web address is rather long and complicated? So we do offer customized domain names through ACNY now. They start off with a churchnew.com, but instead of the /church/number or /benefice/number, we can put your church or benefice name in there, which we found is obviously very helpful for marketing purposes and sharing that information with your church community. So if you do want a custom domain name, please reach out to us in the Editor Help Centre and we'd be more than happy to set one up for you. The other option is you can do external, like custom domain names through external websites providers. They do charge for them, but you can completely change your domain name and forward it to your ACNY site. But feel free to reach out about the free one that we offer through ACNY, and hopefully that helps a little bit. Okay, we've got a couple more minutes. Feel free to ask any more questions. I'll try and answer them as quickly as I can. But I hope you found that useful. Hope it was as clear and concise as possible. Like I said, if you do have any additional questions, have a look at the Editor Help Centre articles first. If you still can't find the answer, please reach out to us and I will help as much as I can. Yeah, Nigel just said URL redirection can help. So you can either purchase domain names, which is the link that you put in the search box at the top of a website. You can purchase ones that are completely different and have just your church or benefice name in it. Or, like I said, we can offer a free one, which has a churchnew.com at the start, the same, but instead of the number, we can put your church or benefice name. Okay, great. Thank you, everyone. Like I said, I hope you found that useful. Please feel free to reach out if you have any questions. And yeah, I hope you stay cool, especially if you're trying to cope in the 30 degrees. And unlike a lot of people don't have aircon because it's London. But yeah, look after yourselves. And thank you so much for joining us today. Don't think we're getting any more other questions in, so we'll just leave it at that. But like I said, if you think of anything, please reach out. Thanks, everyone. I'm glad you found it useful. Rain here. Oh, more rain. I would love it. I don't usually like rain, but I think it would feel nice right now. But hopefully you can get some sunshine soon. Okay, great. Like I said, Joe's just add a blog into the chat, and that goes through the changes as well. So we do have we've got the blog, we've got an Editor Help Centre article with the changes. Hopefully everything you need is in there, but let us know. All right. Well, we're going to wrap it up now. A minute early. Enjoy the rest of your day. Thanks very much, everyone.